You love your horse, but some of your habits are slowly destroying its health and psyche. Most owners make these errors daily, unaware of the consequences. 17 things you need to stop doing with your horse right now. First, pressing your face close/kissing the horse's nose. You want to show affection to the horse by pressing your face against its nose. But to a horse, this is a direct threatening action, not an act of love. A horse's nose is the most sophisticated sensory processing center on its body. Your breath, the smell of coffee food perfume, crashes into the animal's extremely sensitive olfactory system like a shockwave. The horse doesn't turn its head out of rudeness. It is reacting to the sensory overload you have unintentionally caused. But the problem is not just the smell. In the animal world, predators move close to the face of their prey right before attacking. Horses carry this evolutionary memory in every nerve cell. When you press your face in the horse's brain, it does not read the message, "I love you." It reads, "Danger right now." The reflex happens in an instant. The horse jerks its head, hard steps back suddenly, or bites. Not because it is aggressive, that is survival. And unlike a cat that can only scratch you, a 500-kilogram horse, jerking its head at the exact moment you are leaning in close can cause serious injury. Stress accumulated from such interactions changes horse behavior over time. The animal begins to feel tense when it sees you approaching, avoids contact, becomes more difficult to manage in training, and you don't understand why. Learn the horse's language instead of imposing human language onto it. Approach from the shoulder side, not from directly in front. Hold your hand low, move slowly and deliberately so the horse can recognize you first. Let the horse bring its nose to touch your hand on its own. That is its way of greeting. Trust is built by respecting space, not by invading it. Second, startling a horse awake. You see the horse standing still in its stall, eyes half closed, and you walk straight in. It looks like it is lightly dozing, harmless. But you have just stepped into a danger zone without even realizing it. Horses are prey animals that have evolved over millions of years with one single survival rule: never let their guard down completely. Unlike other species that sleep deeply, horses sleep in short cycles and always maintain a degree of awareness of their surroundings. Most of their resting time horses stand, not lie down, precisely because they need to be ready to flee at any moment. When startled awake suddenly, the horse's brain has no time to process. There is no step of, "Oh, that's someone I know." There is only one signal that fires danger. The flight or kick reflex occurs before the animal even has a chance to recognize who you are. The horse is not intentionally attacking you. It is doing exactly what millions of years of evolution have programmed into its body. A kick from an adult horse carries an impact force equivalent to that of a sledgehammer. Broken bones, traumatic brain injury. Even death. These are real emergency cases at horse stables all over the world, and the majority happen in exactly this situation. Stress from repeated startling accumulates and leaves lasting traces. The horse begins to associate your presence with a feeling of unease. The animal becomes tense, difficult to approach, unpredictable in its reactions during training, and you cannot find the cause. Do not be silent when approaching a resting horse. Speak up from a distance in a calm voice, call its name. Let the familiar sound of you arrive before you do. Give the horse a few seconds to orient itself, recognize you, and come out of its resting state in its own way. This small act of respect can be the line between a routine grooming session and a trip to the emergency room. Third, yelling at and scolding a horse. The horse just broke through the fence, stepped on the reins, or refused to stand still while you were saddling it. You lose your temper and shout loudly. It seems like a natural and reasonable reaction. But you have just made everything worse in a way you won't immediately recognize. Horses do not understand human language. But more importantly, horses do not understand the concept of punishment through sound. To a horse, the brain processes your shouting. In one single way, there is a threat in this environment. Not, "I did something wrong." Just, "This place is not safe." Cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes immediately. The horse's heart beats faster. Muscles tense up, ready to flee. The entire nervous system switches into survival mode. And in that state, the horse cannot learn anything. It cannot receive training signals. It cannot connect behavior to consequence. You are shouting at a creature that has completely shut down its capacity to listen. What is even more dangerous is that a horse's emotional memory is extremely durable. Every time it is shouted at is one more time the horse's brain records this person comes with the feeling of danger. Not a bad behavior paired with a consequence, but you paired with danger. Over time, the horse begins to feel tense. the moment it sees you appear becomes difficult to approach, reacts unpredictably, or shifts into a state of chronic defensiveness. You think it is being stubborn. In reality, it is afraid. Trust between human and horse is built slowly and broken quickly. One session of lost emotional control can erase weeks of patient training. Horses do not forgive or hold grudges, but they remember feelings, and those feelings shape every interaction that follows. Instead of shouting, "Stop!" Step away from the situation a few paces lower, your voice slow down every movement. Horses read your body language and energy more accurately than you think. When you are calm, the horse becomes calm too. That is where real training begins, not through volume, but through consistency and trust. Fourth, horsing contact, holding a horse tightly. The horse pulls away and you hold tighter thinking it will get used to it. That if you just persist a little longer, it will understand you mean no harm. That does not happen. You are only deepening a fear you cannot see. To a horse, being held tightly is not the feeling of being embraced, it is the feeling of being caught. Over millions of years of evolution, the only moment a horse was held tight with no way to escape was the moment a predator had brought it down. That instinct does not disappear simply because the horse in front of you grew up in a stable and eats carrots from human hands. When held, the horse's brain immediately activates one of two reflexes: flight or fight, run or resist. There is no third option. There is no pause to think, to recognize you, or to understand that this is affection. There is only one command from the most ancient part of the brain: escape or fight to escape. And unlike a cat that only weighs a few kilograms, a panicking horse is one of the most dangerous things you can place yourself near. Broken bones, chest injuries, head injuries, not because the horse wants to harm you, but because 500 kilograms fighting to survive has no concept of the size of your body. Trust is broken by every instance of forced contact like this. The horse begins to associate your hands, your rope, your presence with loss of control and danger. The next time you approach, even just to stroke it, the horse is already tense before you even touch it. Horses that are forced into contact from a young age grow up with defensive reflexes embedded deep in their nervous system. Not a bad character, but accumulated wounds that were never acknowledged. Let the horse control physical contact. Extend your hand and stand still. Let the horse bring its nose over on its own. Let it decide the distance. A horse that actively comes toward you is worth 100 times more than a horse that stands still, while being held tightly because it has no other choice. That difference between enduring and trusting is everything that makes a real relationship between human and horse. Fifth, the noisy human environment. Speakers, loud noises, sudden sounds. You turn the music up loud in the stable to set the atmosphere, or let the radio run all day to give the horse some company. It seems harmless, even thoughtful. But what you hear and what the horse hears are two completely different realities. A horse's ears can rotate independently up to 180 degrees and pick up frequencies that the human auditory system can never reach. The crackling from speakers, the high frequencies from electronic equipment, the background sounds you have grown so accustomed to that you no longer even hear them. All of it hits the horse's hearing at full intensity continuously without fading. The horse has no way to turn it off. But the real problem is not volume, it is surprise. Horses are prey animals, and their nervous system is programmed. According to one simple principle, a sudden, unfamiliar sound means danger. A sound that bursts from a speaker, a metal clang, an unfamiliar voice echoing into the stable. The horse's brain has no time to analyze the source. The survival reflex fires first, the question comes after. And sometimes the question is never asked because the horse has already bolted. Sound stress accumulates quietly, hour by hour, day by day. Horses living in a chronically noisy environment become more easily agitated, less able to focus during training, and overreact to small stimuli that they previously ignored with ease. You notice the horse is off, but cannot connect it to the speaker that has been running in the stable for the past 6 months. Silence is the natural environment that horses evolved to live in, not absolute silence, but predictable sound, windgrass, familiar footsteps. Those are the things the horse's brain knows how to process without activating the alarm system. If you want to play music for your horse, research shows that slow-tempo classical music has a calming effect on the nervous system. Not because the horse loves Beethoven, but because a stable and predictable rhythm does not trigger the survival reflex. Turn off the speaker. Control the sources of sound around the stable. If there is noisy work to be done, repairs, machinery, trucks, let the horse gradually get used to it from a distance. First, do not throw it straight into the middle of the noise and wait for it to get used to it on its own. A predictable sound environment not only helps the horse stay calmer, it is the foundation of every effective training session you want to carry out afterward.